at American Top Team here in South Florida, Coconut Creek. Up and coming fighter. She works her tail off. Now with Combate Global, this is going to be huge. Kayla Hracho! Kayrock! I love the name. Kayrock. It fits with her last name. It's so cool. So, what is it like, Ben, for you, the training here at American Top Team and being able to have this opportunity with Combate Global?
Wow, it's amazing. I showed up at American Top Team about 6 years ago, and I showed up with little to no MMA experience. I really knew nothing. I never did jiu-jitsu before, never wrestled, never threw a kick before, and I found myself at the best MMA gym in the world with some of the best fighters on the planet. So it's been a really, really tough 6 years. I've learned so much about myself. To be able to fight in the Combate Global cage with some of the best atom weights across the world, it's a huge honor, and I don't take it lightly. How did you get American Top Team? That's so interesting because you're a Pennsylvania lady, and here you are in South Florida now. How did this journey and connection go? That's a good question. So actually, I was at a gym in New Jersey just training some boxing with a friend of mine. We were doing some pad work, and he posted it online, and the right person happened to come across this video. One of the head coaches, previous head coaches at American Top Team, came across this video and complimented me, and I just kind of took a huge risk, and I reached out to him, and you know, I kind of sold myself as a fighter. I said, you know, my biggest dream is to reach my highest potential as a fighter, and what better place to try and do that than, you know, the best place in the world, American Top Team. So I put a lot of my plans on hold, and I flew down here with a little bit of money I had left, and here I am, still going strong 6 years later. Following the dream and taking risks, and that's so important too. What have you learned about yourself in doing that? Were you a risk taker even before that? I would say I was a risk taker before, but I wasn't as mentally strong as I thought I was. You know, when I came to ATT, I was really, really thrown into the fire. You know, like I said, I knew nothing, but yet I was rolling around with black belts every single day. I was training with girls like Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Amanda Hebus, and you know, just some of the best girls to come across this sport. So it's been a huge learning experience, and I really had to force myself to dig deep, put my ego aside, and soak up as much knowledge as I could. Even with Combate Global, you know, I do feel like I'm a huge risk taker as a fighter. I don't necessarily take the safest or the smartest path. You know, I'm not out here looking for, you know, the worst fighters that I can fight to pad my record. I take chances. I want the hard fights. I want to get in there and see what I'm truly made of. And I feel like I can't do that unless I truly, you know, continue to challenge myself. You're 1-1 with Combate Global? Yes, sir. Last fight I saw on Univision. They're also on Paramount Plus. You got the victory. Really dominating performance. How do you think even in those two fights you've grown from fight one with Combate to the fight two to Combate? Yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot between those two fights. You know, I have a lot of fights, but I'm still learning on the job, you know, and I'm still learning a lot about my style in MMA and my strengths and how to utilize my strengths. So my first fight in Combate was at 115. My second one, I actually decided to go down to 105. So I do feel like I'm at the proper weight class now. It is a little bit of a cut, but I feel super strong at 105. And it's great because the power's in my hands, and I really feel like I can do some damage here at 105. You're a very tough striker, very tough fighter. So what is your background? Is it boxing? Yes, sir. My background is boxing, yeah. What was it like for you? When did you start boxing? And just tell us about the competition and being a part of the boxing game, which is another big game. This MMA encompasses everything. Mm-hmm. For sure. Boxing is definitely my first love. Always will be. You know, when I started boxing, I started at 23 years old. I started boxing at 23 years old. So, you know, I was a grown woman. I had already went to college and worked a lot of full-time jobs and was, you know, finding my career path. And then I walked into a boxing gym and my life changed. I really became addicted to seeing improvement and just the mental and physical challenge that comes with a sport like boxing. I was fortunate to have some really, really amazing coaches early in my boxing career. People like Marshall Kaufman and Anibal Adorno, some of the best coaches in the Northeast. So really grateful to have had that experience. And I feel like a lot of MMA fighters don't really know what it's like to go through boxing gyms. You know, sparring day in a boxing gym is like, it's like a fight. There's people there, like there's 100 people there, they're yelling, they're screaming. You know, people from different gyms come and they really try to take your head off. So I was forged in that fire, and it truly did help to prepare me to come to a place like this at ATT and really like learn how to thrive and grow as a fighter and as a person.
You mentioned college. Where did you go to college, and did you end up getting your degree in college?
I did. I graduated from Kutztown University in Pennsylvania. I went to school for psychology.
I know Kutztown.
Yeah, really?
I really do, because I hope I got the story right. And this, now, I'm much older than you, so it'll go back, so I don't know. Jim Valvano was the great coach at NC State way back when. They have the Jimmy V Foundation, Never Give Up. His brother coached basketball at Kutztown.
Oh, that's so cool. Small world.
That's how I know the connection to Kutztown.
That's awesome.
But so you graduated there, you got your degree there. What was the plan?
Oh, I had so many plans. So, you know, after college, I actually accepted a job out in New Hampshire. It was my first big girl job. You know, I moved my whole life like 9 hours away, and that was the first time I like really left home. So it was a unique experience going from Reading, PA to like the middle of the woods, New Hampshire. I wasn't there that long. I actually ended up making a mistake. I got fired a few months later. I thought that it was the end of my life. You know, I had no idea what I was going to do next. But
what field was that in? What was
psychology.
The job? Psychology.
Yeah. Little did I know, a week after I got fired, I walked into a boxing gym. So, you know, sometimes the greatest disappointments in your life can produce the greatest miracles. And a little after that, I ended up at ATT. So I honestly feel like my life is just a living testimony to the good work that God can do in your life. And that's how I stay strong through the struggles, the losses, the disappointments. It's just faith.
God first.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's interesting. And
I see your cross. I like
that. Psychology, it's so interesting to me. Psychology. How much in the mental game of boxing and MMA, and do you even take anything from what you learned in college and just going through some of that? Can it relate to this too?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, people say that fighting is 90% mental, and it is. I mean, it's hard. I don't think people realize, like, I know that this is what we do. We're fighters and we fight, but to like wake up day after day, you're sore, you're tired, it's raining outside, you just want to cuddle in bed and watch movies, but you gotta wake up and fight, you gotta spar, you gotta cut weight, you gotta diet, and like your mental has to be there. If you're not there mentally, then physically, you know, you're not going to be able to keep up. I also wanted to mention that yes, I got my bachelor's in psychology, but I'm actually also a full-time graduate student right now. I'm currently pursuing my master's in counseling. So yeah, every day I train, I go to school, I write papers, I'm going after that degree. And
online, or are you going to the classes?
I go in person, yeah.
Do you mind saying where?
Yeah, of course. I go to Nova Southeastern University. It's in Davie.
Home of the NCAA Division II men's basketball national champions. Perfect season, by the way. Okay, sorry.
No, it's super awesome. Happy to go to Nova. It's a great school. Happy to represent. But this is a little unrelated, but honestly, my biggest dream in the future is I want to make a difference. I want to help as many people as possible. My goal is to combine my two passions, which is helping people and martial arts. So to combine those and to help kids all over the world, that's my dream.
Another that's inspirational and role model-esque. And another one I think of from American Top Team is Kayla Harrison, another Kayla. Got anything from Kayla as far as just how she does things in her fights, away from the fights, and all. And I don't know if I know 2 different weight divisions, I guess, of fighters. So I don't know if you worked out with her at all or anything.
Kayla Harrison she's first of all, she's one of my best friends. I honestly feel
it's a Kayla thing. It's
sure.
a Kayla thing, right?
Yeah, Kayla's been my best friend for like probably almost 4 years now, and man, I mean, she's instrumental to my life. She is the epitome of like strength and you know, perseverance and you know, all of the things that Kayla's been through. Yet she still stands strong, and she lives by faith, and you know, she's a kind person, and she helps others and works her butt off. Like, she is a true testament to, you know, the kind of person that I want to be and the kind of fighter I want to be. Shout out to Kayla.
Yes, Kayla, and we might see her in pro wrestling sports entertainment someday. I know she loves when I say that. Never say never, as she says, so there you go. So, and done great things with Olympic gold medals twice in judo for USA, and also PFL 2-time champion there, the MMA. Curious, because her transition was judo to MMA, yours is boxing to MMA. How is that transition going, and do you find yourself always going to your back pocket boxing if other things aren't going the way it is, because that's what you're most comfortable in? But are the coaches like saying, you got to work on the grappling and you got to work on the other things?
That's actually a really good question. I think that people underestimate the difference between boxing and MMA. You know, I was a pretty good boxer when I came here, but I almost had to strip everything I knew to learn how to apply boxing for MMA. And that's something that I'm still working on, you know, managing the distance and making sure I land my knuckles on the chin, and, you know, mixing it in with kicks and takedowns. So it definitely is a learning experience. I will say, you know, being at ATT it's the perfect place to come, because you know, we've got some of the best grappling coaches in the world here. So I really do feel like my grappling has improved tremendously. I feel like I can grapple here with the best on the mat. So I do feel like my style has developed a lot, but I'm for sure a boxer at heart, and I love to throw hands.
Kayrock, who are the coaches that you've been able to work with your time here so far?
I work with almost all of the coaches, to be honest. Super grateful for that. I would say Tiago Alves, Pahumpa, Mike Brown, Steve Mako, all of them. I take and learn from each and every single one of them. Super grateful for all their help.
And it's also interesting to me, as you mentioned movies before, as far as not sitting on the couch watching movies, but I'm curious, and I think I know the answer to this. So, how big is Rocky to you? And do you have a favorite Rocky of the Rocky series, since you're in Pennsylvania?
I love that you asked this, because I just posted on my Instagram the other day, the Rocky series is on Netflix. Who is watching it? So,
I am.
Man, for the past week, I've been watching. I literally just finished Rocky 5. So, man, probably one of my favorite movies in the world. I love Rocky. I mean, who doesn't? I want to be like a real life Rocky. So that's the goal, you know. Kayrock from Pennsylvania.
Yes. And have you run the steps? Have you done the steps?
No. I haven't. But you know what?
Bucket list.
Yes, I will. Actually, maybe right after this fight, I'll go visit home and run those steps.
Next fight coming up for you. Mm-hmm. What's coming up next? When?
So I will be fighting April 15th for Combate against Daniela Hernandez at 105.
Do you watch anything about your opponent when you get ready for a fight, or do you more or less just take care of business of what you're doing?
I do watch a little bit of my opponent. I don't watch too much, because I don't want to be too focused on what they do. I want to be focused on what I'm going to do to them. So I do leave a lot of it up to my coaches, and you know, I do work a certain game plan, but at the end of the day, I'm focused on my skills and sharpening my weapons.
Did you play sports in high school?
I did. I played a lot of sports. I played basketball, softball, field hockey. I played rugby in college. But the biggest difference is those were all team sports. So when I came to fighting and I started boxing, I really had to adapt to that. And I think it was a big mental shift for me to, kind of learn how to depend on myself and be mentally strong on my own.
Kayla, when you're growing up and you're in high school, are there thoughts, like you said, you played college sports. You did rugby in college. So was the thought of even back then that, oh, I'm going to play sports in college one day?
That's a good question. I definitely always loved being an athlete, and like, if you had asked me my dream when I was younger, it would be to be a professional athlete. Like, I was the kind of girl that wanted to be the first basketball player in the NBA. You know, those were my dreams. But I will say, like, as I got older, I was always really good at sports, but I was never like really great. Like, never could get like a D1 scholarship to play softball or something like that. So I did play rugby in college, but I kind of just, no, I never imagined that I would be a professional athlete after that, no.
Rugby is another physical type sport, which is interesting. You were always into the physical activity and aggressive type sports?
Yeah, I guess so. Always a little scrapper.
Yeah. And what did your family think about when you're saying to them now, okay, I'm going to South Florida and I'm going to do this?
My family wasn't very happy, to be honest. Now, I'm not a liar, but to be honest, when I came down to visit ATT, my parents were so hell-bent on like, okay, we kind of accept boxing, but there's no way you're doing that cage fighting stuff. Like, please, there's just no way. And really, I had no interest. So I was like, nah, like, I'm not going to do that. But when I got the opportunity to come visit ATT, it was a no-brainer, right? Like, I don't care if I have no money, no experience, I don't care if I'm 25 years old. I'm going to give it a try. And when I came down here to visit, I told my parents it was a boxing gym. So they didn't exactly know until I was ready to move here.
Did they get to watch your Combate fights?
They do watch. Listen, my parents are super supportive. They are the most amazing parents in the world. And they are supportive of my career, but they don't like it. They don't prefer it. So it is really, really hard for them to watch.
They're just happy you don't get hurt.
For sure, yeah. They just, I mean, they want me to be happy, you know? And they know that this makes me happy. And I think they can truly see how beneficial martial arts is for my life, so.
And that's been beneficial for you, but it's interesting because of your background. And we see fighters of all different disciplines crossing over. So I'm curious. So you haven't boxed professionally? Is that accurate? Okay. So is boxing professionally or even bare knuckle something that's in your mind? I know your focus is MMA right now, but is that in the back of your mind of doing that?
No, it's a good question. It's funny because I was like 1-2 in MMA, and I got a call about bare knuckle. They were offering some good money, and it was so enticing to me. But bare knuckle, it's just not me personally. So I did kind of walk away from that path. But professional boxing is 100% something I will do before I retire. I don't know if I'll like take it as far as I can go, but I will 100% have a pro boxing fight in Philadelphia before I'm done fighting. 100%.
Combate Global, you are fighting for. You have 2 fights upcoming for them. Very international type roster there. It's interesting. Sure. You're an American on that roster. No, what has that been like too? Because you're not only representing yourself, American top team, but you're also representing the USA. They like the country matchups.
Yeah, they do. It's good. You know, Combate, it's a really good promotion. I love how organized they are. I love the talent that's involved in the I don't think people realize the talent that is in Combate. They're truly bringing girls from all over the world, some of the best atomweights on the planet, and it's really cool. I want to test myself against the best, so it's awesome to be able to represent the U.S., especially against Mexico. You know, some of these tough girls from Mexico. I'm grateful and ready to show them, you know, what I can do.
Is it cool that the fights are in Miami, which is close to South Florida, Coconut Creek? Or also, are you looking forward to hopefully traveling and doing that whole thing and fighting different places, even different countries?
That's a good question. I mean, it is nice to fight local for sure, for like obvious reasons that I can like be at my gym, I can like sleep in my bed on fight week. You know, it takes the like less time to travel and stuff, but traveling and fighting is a really, really cool experience too. Something that I kind of miss. I've been fortunate to go all around the world with fighting. I mean, I was in South Africa for 6 weeks. I fought in Panama like 6 times. So I fought in Mexico. So I've been around, and I hope to have opportunities to travel again in the future.
What are the crowds like, those places?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't really ever hear the crowd.
You're so into the fight
Yeah.
that just tune that all out. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for the time, of course. And I will ask about mostly good, but there might be one not so good. So did you watch the Super Bowl?
I did.
And are you a big fan or?
You know, I'm a fan. I don't watch them too much or throughout the season now because, like, man, being a fighter, like, you kind of get away from other sports a little bit, and also just being away from PA, like, I'm not really around other fans and like, you know, the big parties and the celebrating. But I definitely watched the Super Bowl. Super proud of Philadelphia and their sports teams this year, the Phillies and the Eagles, just defying odds and showing what underdogs can do. I feel like there is a true fighting spirit in Philadelphia, and it's not just from fighters, it's from, you know, sports all around.
And now you can correct me on this one, because I think a long time ago they had a team, but I'm not sure if they still do, but I think you'll know. Are you a fan of the Reading Phillies?
It's funny that you asked that, because that was actually my very first job was at the Reading Phillies. I like loved it too because.
Were you not sure? Were you selling the concessions?
Yeah, I was scooping ice cream, and like it was so cool because I worked behind the field, so I literally had a view behind home plate, scooping ice cream. Man, that was a cool job. I might go back to that job one day. Shout out to the Reading Phillies.
Yes! And then the opening day of baseball. We're actually having the interview on opening day of baseball, the
cool.
2023 season. Yes! All right, I told her we're wrapping this up, and we are. So I'll do the rapid quickly on that. Gino or Pat's or elsewhere?
Ooh. Right now I'm like, any cheesesteak in my mouth would be amazing.
Is there anything down here?
Come on, man.
I know.
These Philly cheesesteaks outside of Philly, it's just not the same. But Gino's.
Whoa!
Shout out to my man Gino. I gotta come visit you after this fight. Get me a big cheesesteak.
Yes.
With.
Well, there it is. Social media for fans. Kayrock, what do you have?
For sure. So Instagram, Twitter, definitely Facebook. You can find me at Kayrock MMA. It's Kayrock MMA.
And Combate Global for you again is?
Yes, sir. April 15th.
Yes, there it is. Kayla, do you smell what the Kayrock is cooking?